Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the podcast, another episode of Caffeine and Green with your man, Cajon Cardenas. Per usual, I want to make sure that you guys are heading to our brand new shop at 3072 El Cajon Boulevard. That's right, we have the brick and mortar, baby. And by now, I think you guys know that, but I still want to make sure that you're coming through every single day. Come through, see me. I'll make you guys some coffee. You guys can pick up a bag of coffee if you would like. We have that amazing Notorious, which is a single origin black honey processed Costa Rican coffee that is almost gone until the end of 2023. So cruise in today, grab a bag, or you can grab in our single origin Ethiopia matcha, the El Cajon Boulevard, or you can grab that classic, that OG, that Issa blend. That is chocolate, bold, and dark. Love it. So cruise on in, guys. You can also get any type of merch or anything like that, or just come in, get a latte, say what up, get some espresso, whatever. Be here every single day. The only day we're closed is Mondays for roasting. So, guys, make sure that you're cruising on through 3072 El Cajon Boulevard. Caffeine and Green, baby. Let's go. My guest today is a rad individual. I just met him a couple weeks ago. I went into his shop. His name is Dan Romeo. He owns and operates Trvlr Coffee in Mission Gorge here in San Diego. He also has One Season Brewing. Now, as soon as I heard about him, I wanted to go in. I wanted to check out his spot, try his coffee, try out the beer, and just, meet somebody that I haven't met in the industry yet. And I always make it a point to do that. So I had him on the show without knowing him, and I have to say the show was amazing. He has such a strong motivation, such a strong passion, and he has a great story about how he had to pivot and how he just continues to thrive every single day. So guys, please enjoy this. I enjoyed it so much. So without further ado, my man, Dan Romeo. This your time to shine, homie. Let's go. Caffeine and Green. It's your boy Connor. What's good? Good. Caffeine and Green. And we're live. Dan Romeo from Trvlr Coffee. Welcome to Caffeine and Green, sir.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
So we're drinking that collab between Seek Brewing and Caffeine and Green. Dude, the crema, it's still there. I love that shit. It's so dope, dude. It's my favorite for sure.
Smooth. You can taste the vanilla in it. It's really nice.
Dude, the vanilla is undeniable. And then are you tasting the chocolate cake on the finish?
Totally.
Dude, when I describe it, I feel
clean.
It's like a fluffy chocolate cake. It's, like almost like a, do you ever watch The Great British Bake Off?
Yeah.
Dude, I love that show. And they always say, they're always a sponge. They're like, it's like a sponge. It's like soft, it's nice, it's moist. That's imagine when I watch a lot of wine stuff too as well, and like sommeliers, and I watch how it's very different, because when you're describing wines, they're like spouting out facts. Okay, this is, it tastes like this, it tastes like this, it tastes like this. Okay, medium body, good acidity, this. But then when you're doing like a cupping and you're with Q graders or other professionals, everything is very, very quiet, and you're not to do power of influence and all these other things. It's just so opposite with wine. But when I found myself doing that with this, I was like, oh, that's the chocolate cake, and this has this, the vanilla and everything like that.
Well, I mean, the one thing I love about this style of beer in general is just the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Like, what you're drinking. This isn't a Miller Lite.
Dude, yeah.
It's got that, just to your point, cakey, but it's just smooth. It's silky, but it has that texture.
Yep.
It's just, it's a great beer.
Dude, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Dope. Well, Dan just got right into it. I met you a week or two ago, probably two Mondays ago, because I just came right after roasting.
Randomly.
Your roaster, Isaac.
Yes. Came
into the shop, and he introduced himself, and he told me about your shop, which I'd never heard about. And I was like, for me, I make it a point that if I don't know somebody in coffee, that I go and introduce myself. I want to be like, hey, how's it going? My name's Connor. I'm also a coffee roaster. And I did just that. But then when I came in, I saw that you guys were doing beer as well. And I feel like maybe Isaac told me that, but one ear out the other kind of thing. But when I came in there and got to see your whole operation, I was blown away. And I thought it was super fucking dope. And you had like the cold brew old fashioned type thing going on.
Yeah.
And you have the beer, and then you have the coffee. And I just have to say, if you have not been there, people, you have an espresso machine that is very deceiving. Because you pulled me a shot of espresso that was like out of this world.
It's the ongoing joke,
dude.
I mean, it's to a certain point. Obviously, the espresso machine has something to do with it, but the coffee. But I should have gotten a different espresso machine a little while ago, but now it's like the running joke for people that come in weekly or monthly or bi-weekly or whatever it might be. Oh, you still got that espresso machine? You can still pull some great shots from it. I'm like, yeah. And that's like kind of the allure of like this little hidden space that you found. Mm-hmm. And it kind of like adds to the whole ambiance. Obviously, I want to get a different espresso machine sooner than later, but it's just...
Dude, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. It pulls great shots. And it's I can't complain. Yeah, it takes a little while to steam. That's you might have to wait 3 to 5 minutes for a latte.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because there's single boiler.
Okay.
And it just if there's a couple people and they order a couple drinks, I have to say to everybody, hey, we're shutting it down for a second. I have to I have to wait for the machine to get back to temperature. So that's like really the only problem that we have with it is that it's just very slow. Okay. But other than that, it's great.
Dude, I was very deceived, and I was just like, I don't mean this in a negative way or like I'm talking shit. But when I saw it, I was like, I didn't even know that was your espresso machine. I was actually looking, and then I seen it, and I was like,
it's a little toy.
I was like, what? And then you pulled that shot, and I sipped it, and I was like, yo, don't let the looks deceive you, man. Like powerful things come in small packages, straight up.
Don't judge a book by its cover. And
nope.
And your reaction is what so many other people have had when they come in, and they're like, oh, all right. It's like, yeah, we're getting it done somehow. Just trying to figure it out, like MacGyver. Yeah. Ever since the pandemic and everything like that, and just starting up, a year and a half before the pandemic, it's just been about just making it happen.
Yeah, work with what you got, dude.
Exactly. Whatever we have, I'm gonna redo it 15 times over to make sure I can make it worth the money.
Dude, fuck it. I'm a big believer in DIY, and being my background being in skateboarding and fighting and stuff like that, I would definitely say that a DIY, especially being a skateboarder, like if you can make it work and you can pull it off, people will tell you like, hey, work with what you got, do what you can do. It'll still be amazing. And I love that. And the fact when you walk in there, we talked and you were saying, you did a hard pivot and you did the brewery.
Hard pivot.
Yeah. And like you fucking, you're doing it, man. And I think that's so dope. I mean, as a person that I just met, to walk into your space and it's tucked behind like in an industrial like little lot, I guess, is that what it would be considered, or industrial parking like park?
Yeah, there's like 15 other like warehouse units. So yeah, a little industrial district. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, but I'm the only like kind of retail. Everything else is like there's a CrossFit gym, there's a couple auto mechanic places. So it's really random for there to be a coffee shop smashed in the middle of all this.
But it's perfect, though. Yep. In my eyes, I would look at it and be like, most people maybe would be like, oh, maybe it's not going to be legit for a coffee shop. But it's like, in my head, it's like, you're right there. It's like, as long as you get the word out, there's so many businesses right there. And it's like, and then it's another destination spot. Yep. A lot like this shop. It's like, as long as you have your, I guess not demographic, but your, I guess maybe your demographic. You have your people. You have your solid base of community, and like you have everybody coming to you, and then like you have the martial art. Dude, you have 10th Planet right down the street.
Yeah.
And then you have all the car dealerships. It's like, fuck yeah, dude. And plus you're offering beer and coffee. Dude, I don't remember who I was talking to, but I went to Korea a couple of years ago, and when I was there, it wasn't like here at all. But they had figured out the specialty coffee industry, and like every other shop, dude, I swear to God, and I'm not even exaggerating. It was like you would have like a coffee shop, and then like 5 more shops down, there'd be another coffee shop. But with the way they differentiated themselves is that in Korea, they would do the double thing. So it would be like coffee and beer. And I remember the first time I'd ever seen a coffee and beer spot was in Korea. And I came back, and then Young Hickory popped up, and I was like, yo. And then Small World, you were the dude who was roasting for them. So it was like. Yeah. Wow, and it was like there was always these pairings to separate themselves from the competition. Yeah. The one that stood out the most, and still to this day that stood out the most, is hot dogs and coffee. Hot dogs are huge in Korea, fucking huge. I don't even know. They love the glizzies. But but I loved it. And when I got into your space, it was really cool to just try the beer, try your barrel aged cold brew. Is that what it was?
The bourbon 30-day bourbon barrel aged cold brew. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That was our first. We've done it 6 times prior, but just sold the beans that we had that we roasted. We put them in raw, aged them for 30 days. Then we sold them. Loved it. People just now it's like a pre-order only type of deal. So everything we do, it's like the space. It's like everything is like kind of underground. It's like So if you're in on the fact that we're doing this right now, you can get in on the pre-order list and you get some of the coffee. If not, you kind of miss out. But the aged cold brew, that's what I want to start doing more of these little niche-y things.
Yeah.
And because we're just kind of like a quirky spot, and we have a space that we can kind of experiment with some of these things, kind of test it out with the public, see what works and see what doesn't work. And then so we did the 30-day barrel aged cold brew, and we're putting bitters in it, and a little bit of sugar, brown sugar, and kind of shake it up, and it comes out like an old fashioned. And I've given it to people, and people swear there's alcohol in it. I'm like, no, it was all burned off during the roast. It's just a straight up bourbon.
Dude, that's so
like,
interesting.
It's the best of all worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, all flavor, and you can still drive a car.
How? Because I've had my friend Carmelo. Shout out to Carmelo if you're listening, bud. He's a roaster up in San Jose, and he actually did like a bourbon aged coffee. Maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3. And I bought a bag off him, and we had it shipped, and we cupped it, and it tasted like heavy nougat, almost like pineapple-y. Bourbon for sure was strong. And then when I talked to him, I was like, we were thinking about doing something like that down here when I was just working at Steel Mill, when Caffeine and Green was still just like pop-ups and stuff.
Yep.
I asked him, I said, how long did you store that and to get that taste? And he's like, dude, I tried for like 2 weeks and it was too strong or something like that. Sorry if I'm butchering this, Carmelo, but he said he ended up doing one. The one that he used was only like three hours. And when you told me you did yours 30 days, I was like,
yeah,
how?
Yeah. I mean, I want to start doing like 60, 90 days too, except my space right now. I mean, you've been there. Mm-hmm. It's a little tight. So I'm trying to work on how I can stack some barrels and try to do things like more unique, like more, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But, everything that I do, since I started the company, definitely since the pandemic, this is all just an experiment at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just be doing things just, randomly shooting from the hip, but it's like, I want to have fun and, try to do things that are a little different. Like everyone, I mean, there's so many coffee places around here. So it's like, what can you do that kind of stands out a little bit? Yeah. But obviously it has to taste good. It has to be something that people want. Maybe I'll do it. Oh, it could be great, but no one buys it. But 30 days in a Cutwater barrel. I should give them a shout out for giving me the barrel. And going there, I'm getting the barrels from them, and that's been awesome. We did a rum too. The rum was
a rum coffee.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It was fantastic, like really, really fantastic. And I don't put too much coffee in the barrel. That's really the trick. And so it's just you're getting all the booze, and I'm getting these barrels that are still soaking wet.
That's what you were saying. That's why when you told me that, I was very shocked.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
But when it's a normal size barrel for whiskey or rum.
Yeah.
When you say very little, that to me, so I'm thinking a couple pounds, like
little in the barrel. Well, the barrel is it's a 1 barrel barrel.
Yeah.
So we're putting in like 50 pounds of coffee.
Oh wow. Okay.
I mean, but if you were to pack that barrel, you can get
at least 100.
Oh God, 150. Yeah, definitely
a full bag.
Whole bag, definitely 75 kilos in there easily. You could probably put 200 pounds. So not that much coffee. I mean, it could still rotate and stuff like that, which you need to roll it kind of every couple days. Make sure all the beans are getting kind of saturated.
Evenly, yeah.
Kind of touching that oak and kind of touching that all the char that's on the side and stuff like that. And it's really fun because when you take it out, I showed people, they come out purple.
Really? So it takes on more liquid.
Yeah, it takes on just the liquid, all the kind of the charcoal that's in the barrel, And then when you roast it, they come out like maroon, like a dark maroon, like really interesting.
Would you say that affects your roast time? Because for people who don't know, if you're not a coffee roaster, there's between 11 to 12% of water still left in the green beans, and that's what you're roasting out. That's like the thermal energy when you're applying the heat, and then it goes to first crack. It's exploding and expanding the cellular structure and breaking it essentially, right?
Yep.
Do you find that? I mean, sorry, I'm going to be super nerdy about it, but it's like, do you find that maybe because it takes on a different color and a different hue, and then it takes on a liquid if it's still a soaking wet barrel, would you say that it maybe takes on another percent or maybe 2% of liquid?
The beans green coming out of the barrel like 2 to 3 times heavier.
Wow.
Than when they start, yeah.
And do you find that it affects your basically roast time?
Yeah.
Per batch?
It's really tricky. We've experimented with this too. We're still working on it. Like I want to go low and slow. I don't want to burn away too much of that bourbon flavor. I just want to be able to, it's like a really tightrope. You want to keep the bourbon flavor, but yet you still have to roast the bean. You don't want to roast too long because the bean's so much heavier that you're roasting away the bourbon flavor, but yet, overcooking the bean, so you're kind of fine. We're still trying to dial that in, but yeah, we're going low, slow, and just trying to just get it to a point where, yeah, that coffee bean is roasted, but yet we're still able to get the vast majority of that bourbon into the final product without it burning off. Because obviously during the roast, we're burning off all the alcohol.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when you say low and slow, do you mean that you would start maybe like a soak, and then you start like, because a Dietrich goes to about 5? There's like the highest setting on your roaster is like a 5 on the flame.
5 on the flame, 5.5 on the flame. It gets to 476 is the highest it will ever go before it shuts off. Yeah.
So would you do maybe like a soak, and then since it's low and slow, instead of going full blast, like maybe 5, would you do maybe like a 4 or a 3, depending on, you said a 7.5 pound batch?
Yeah.
And then do you go down from there, or do you go like 4, go back up, and then like that and go back down?
So last time we did it, we hit it with high gas and kept on shutting it off and on every like minute and a half, 2 minutes. Just hot, off, hot, off, hot, off, hot, off.
Completely off.
Yep.
So 5 off.
Yep.
5 off.
Yep.
Wow.
Some we've never done with anything else, but we were kind of playing around with it because like, all right, we can't really treat this as a coffee bean because it's really not a coffee bean anymore at this point.
It's
something
alcohol
else.
Infused coffee bean.
Because at this point it's coming into the roaster at like 2-3 times heavier than a coffee bean, so we can't treat it as a coffee bean. We have to think outside of the box, kind of.
Dude, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, just playing around with it.
How did you come up with that?
Just trial and error. I mean, we have X amount of coffee that we can burn through it. Just as experimental. Like when I first started doing this, like a year and a half ago, and I basically I didn't really even sell it. I just wanted to get it. I wanted to experiment. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because like anything, like my kombucha and beer, it's like, I want to make sure it's right. I give it to friends, give it to people I know. So I started experimenting with this. I did a bunch of different test batches, and at this point, it's only me in the company. I'm the only person. I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm just like trying to play around with it, trying to figure it out. And I just roasted it a handful of different ways, cupped it all, and I was like, all right, well, that one, what was that? Okay, that's what I did. All right, that's what it's going to be. That tastes the best.
Sick.
But just like I said, the most important thing was kind of thinking about it, outside the box. Like, this isn't a coffee bean anymore. It's something completely different because I've done something to it prior to roasting that you can't really consider it the same thing.
It's a pre-infused.
Yeah, exactly. So once you start thinking about it like that, then it's like, all right, then like kind of the world's your oyster, kind of whatever you want to make it.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. That's really cool. How do you like come up with these ideas? Do you have like a process? Do you have inspiration? Do you smoke weed? Like, are these things that help you expand your mind?
Geez, it's like, so do you want the long or the short answer?
I want the long one.
All right. So for years, so going back to high school, and college, I loved working with my hands. I used to build houses in the summers and the winters, and that's kind of like I loved seeing something from start to finish. You can actually, first day you show up, you're working on the slab. The last day you show up, you're shingling the roof, and you see it, the progression. And then from there, I started doing wine, started doing small batches, little, beer on the kitchen, oven, and the stove. Made cheese, made bread, made all these things. Yeah, I just loved making all these things. And I fell into, unfortunately, I went to like the corporate world after college, even though my passion was I wanted to do something myself. I wanted to use my hands, but I got stuck behind a computer, and it was never satisfying for the longest time.
Of course. And
for better or worse, I burnt out hard. I was in corporate accounting, corporate finance, sitting behind a Excel spreadsheet for 12, 15 hours a day. Had a couple run-ins with ownership that were just horrific, and it's just like, this is not how I want to live. I can't look at myself in the mirror right now. Like, what am I doing? And do I expect something different the next time I get another job? Probably the same thing. So I wanted to incorporate. So I my last job before the pandemic, about 4.5 years ago, when I started Trvlr, and before I even knew what I was going to do and Trvlr even existed, I was, I want to do something with my hands. I want to meet people. I want to connect with people. I want to give them some product. I want to make people smile. And how can I do it creatively? And what can I do that's ultimately, there's people doing everyone's, there's so many. You go down Cajon Street, and there's a bunch of businesses. Oh yeah, I want that. I want to have a business where people come in like this and hang out and chill and communicate and have a social aspect of it. And you could be a part of it, and you meet people and you make their day. But I also wanted to use like what's always driven me is just like creativity in my hands and just playing around with things. You can really. I tell Isaac this all the time roasting, like this is more of an art than it is a science. Let's have fun. Let's see if we can come up with something else. Let's, just because this is the way I'm roasting it or this is the way you're roasting it, doesn't mean that's how we have to roast it tomorrow. Let's play around with it. Let's cup it, in terms of coffee speak. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's throw this into that. Oh, that's never been done before. Well, who says it can't be done? Let's just like play around with it. I'm sure you have a lot of those. I mean, you're just like me. You have this spot here. This is great. You got a coffee truck. You've been,
thank you,
to do what you've done, not even knowing you that well. But I know it's been nothing but passion and hard work.
Dude, 100. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's just, it's a grind. But you do
Always.
it because you love it. And, I just wanted to always, if I'm going to work in my warehouse and it's going to be like, a 12 or a 15-hour day, or, some days have been... it's been a nightmare in terms of like the effort that I have to put in trying to keep this thing going and trying to get to the point where, all right, not that I'm satisfied. No. I'm just talking about just, through all the shit that's gone on the last handful of years trying to survive. And we should also tell the listeners that, before the pandemic, I was just doing all wholesale. So I lost all my business. So, you mentioned before I pivoted. I've been pivoting hard just to stay alive. And maybe that pivoting, maybe that kind of fostered some like creativity and, say, hey, Dan, you have to innovate. If you don't innovate, you're going to be dead.
Pressure creates diamonds.
Yeah. Right. It's like, there's been some nights where you go to sleep and it's just, you're in a cold sweat, like staring at the ceiling. Like, all right, what am I going to do tomorrow? Like, this isn't going, like we're in a lockdown right now. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? Well, no one's going to cry. I got to figure out something. Yeah. And just try to innovate. And, who says a coffee bean's got to be a coffee bean? You can do whatever you want with it. Obviously it's got to be good.
Yeah, it's got to be good.
I mean, you have to have, people have to enjoy it at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But, that's the icing on the cake, so, there's no limits to anything you can do here. Anything anyone would do.
Yeah.
The world is, that's the beauty of doing this, and even going through all the shit and all the headache and the, getting an ulcer and all this other stuff, with the pandemic and all these things.
You got an ulcer?
Oh, I mean, let's not even talk about that.
Okay. Damn.
An ulcer is the least of the problems. I mean, yeah, the stress and all that going through it. But I found that the harder I worked, the more that it didn't matter. You just kind of just pushed right through it. And it's all about, for me, I don't want to get on a soapbox here too much, but it's all about like suffering. And the more you suffer, the more pleasure you get at the end.
Dude,
It's
J.
like,
Cole said there's beauty in the struggle.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't really earn it, if you don't really know how hard it was to get through it, if it was just easy, if someone just like gave it to you, just, right in your lap, it wouldn't be worth anything at the end. It's all about just that grind of showing up and being willing. Okay, you're a coffee roaster, showing up at 4:00 in the morning, roasting coffee, work until 10 o'clock at night, roasting more coffee because you didn't roast enough during the day, or you forgot to roast in the morning, or whatever, things happen, or you forgot to make cold brew, and, all these other things.
Dude,
Now I'm trying to add beer into the mix, and we started doing kombucha and all these other things. And, it's all about just kind of like pushing yourself, to that limit to see like, all right, what are you made of? Like, what can you do? Not like for some kind of medal, but at the end of the day, just for...
It's to see what you can do.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing this, because when I was in the office sitting behind an Excel spreadsheet, I never felt that feeling.
Yeah.
I was working the same amount of hours, maybe more hours sometimes, but just kind of empty. You're just kind of like, all right, why am I doing this? No one, the ownership's bad. Everyone's just in it for themselves. Should I even be saying this, right? It's like I don't want to give people a bad.
Well, you're not calling out any names, so it's no, you're good. You're good.
Like, yeah, some of the things are just. It was really, really frustrating, and because of that, I'm glad it happened, because then I was like, that was the first pivot, was taking that step that we all have to take. You took, other people take. The guy from Seek, I'm sure he took.
Oh, yeah.
That we met. It's like walking away from that kind of comfiness, that comfort. Like we're in an air-conditioned room, really nice, really feels good, and you have to walk outside, 105 degrees, soaking wet humidity. And you just have to be able to like grin and bear it and know like that's the direction I should be going in. That's what I should have always done. And I wanted to do this, 15, 20 years ago when I left school in college. But if I would have done it then, I would have failed, because I needed all those bad experiences, all that kind of, that grind, that 9 to 5, that working for people, and all, learning all those things that you really, you don't get in school. You don't get unless you sit there.
Dude, school doesn't really teach you much when it comes, and in my opinion, and when it comes to real world experiences, it doesn't really teach you much, because like school is so cookie cutter. Yeah. When it comes to how you're going to run a business, how you're going to figure shit out, there's no one right way. It's how you going to do it. And you know what? You might not even do it right the first time. You might not even do it right the first 10 times.
Yeah.
But eventually all of those things add up, and you'll know what not to do, and then you'll figure out how to do it, or at least something that works for you.
Yeah. The most important thing that I've learned is that, you have to be able to admit that when something's not working, it's not working. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to step back, assess the situation, and just say, I have to change things right now. There's, if you don't innovate, or, even the pandemic, I'm not sure if it's a really good example, but whatever I said this to people before, whatever you were doing before the pandemic can't be what you're doing after the pandemic.
No, hell no.
Everything's changed.
Everything's changed.
Even now, what do we have? Gas prices through the roof, inflation, more than enough reasons for people not to walk through a door.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So it's like you have to be willing to change. A lot of people are so stuck in their ways, I feel, that they can't change. And I'm doing this because I want to constantly evolve. What I'm doing today, I'm hoping I'm not doing 5 or 10 years from now. Hoping it's progressed.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe like an underlining thing that's still the same, like coffee roasting.
Oh,
But,
I mean, yeah, I
you know.
mean, totally like that. Yeah. I mean, this is like, yeah. I mean, I'm hoping I do this all my life. I mean, I'm happy. You know, even through all the, you know, the hard days. At the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I wake up and I'm like, wow, it's gonna be a long day today, but you smile.
But it's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah, you feel like, I mean, you come into this space, you know, this is a really cool hip space.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you walk in here every morning and you're like, yeah, I did this.
I don't, actually. The first thing I do is I say hello to my plants, actually. It's like,
That's
good morning.
Awesome.
And then
that's a little meditation there.
Dude, because I fully believe, and this actually kind of ties back to something you said about, I don't know exactly the wording you just used, but we were talking about kind of like, what I had picked up on what you had said was like there's energy that goes behind it, and it's like the passion. For me, it was about when you were talking about roasting as an art more than a science.
Yeah.
I have the exact same mentality when it comes to roasting. Me, when I roast, I was just talking about this earlier. I might have been saying it to Natasha, or I was saying it to somebody. But for me, when people tell me that my coffee's like so good or the best or whatever they want to use as a noun to describe my coffee, or descriptive like an adjective, but like I think to me it's like 50% talent and then 50% the energy that I'm putting into the coffee.
Yeah.
Because the best analogy I can have is like, why does your mom's food taste so much better than when you try to make it?
Same ingredients, same recipe. It's not going to come out the same.
Not going to come out the same. And why?
100%.
Because the love that your mother put into it, or your father, or whoever, that like, you know, that they make that the best and that's going to be their thing. Yeah. It's the energy and the love, because you could feel it. Yeah. And like, that is 100% why I feel like my coffee and I say this I should clarify, because on Instagram sometimes I'll be like, yo, the best coffee in San Diego, this, that, this. When I say that, I'm talking about myself. I don't say that because I'm trying to shit on anybody else. Lil Wayne has this song, and he has, because I'm super influenced by hip hop, as you can tell.
Love it.
He says like, I'm the best rapper alive, and he's like, I'm not saying that to put anybody else down, but he's like, I do believe I'm a steward of, like a steward of my craft. And he's like, I do believe that when what I'm doing, I am the best. And he's like, as I should feel that anybody else in their craft should feel about themselves. Because if you don't think you're the best, then why are you doing it? And it's like, I mean, I guess it's more of like a jock mentality, and maybe just like, because I've been in like a different world most of the time. But I feel the same way about myself. Like, I support everybody in San Diego, and I will fuck with everybody. And if like I said before the podcast, like, if I don't know you, I'm going to make sure I go and meet you. Yeah. Hi, I'm Kano. Yeah. You're a coffee roaster? Fuck yeah, dude. Like, that's so fucking dope, because I know you know how hard it is. And you know that I know how hard it fucking is. And those days that you're talking about, when it's like 105 degrees and you're in there sweating your ass off, standing next to, it could be 105 outside in the roastery. It could be even hotter in the room. Totally. And then you're standing next to the roaster, and it's probably even hotter next to the roaster. But at the end of the day, you're still there, and you're making the coffee for the people. And that, to me, says more about who you are as an individual than anything I can never ever know about you. As like, I could know nothing else about you, but I know you do that, and I'm like, you know what? That's a solid one. Because nobody is just going to sit there and put themselves through those days. And you're talking about those long days. Like, dude, that's why I started closing on Mondays, because I couldn't. Let me correct this. I would still do it, but I didn't want to do it anymore, to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? I need a day to actually roast during the day, because Wednesdays was my roast day, and I would be at the shop. I'd open the shop, I'd close the shop, and then I would sometimes go to the farmer's market, and then from the farmer's market, I would go to roast. And then I would be, so the day, I think the longest day I had was 20 hours one day. Yeah. Closed. Oh, yeah. And then like finished roasting, went home, went to sleep, came back, opened the shop the next day. Yeah. I was like, bro, this is fucking crazy. To the point where I'd be like going home, and I don't like eating fast food, but I would like go hit Taco Bell, and then I would just sit there, literally finish my food, sit back, and then I'd wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning in the couch. It's like, you know, head just back, you know, like TV is like repeating whatever I'm watching on Netflix, and it's like, fuck, man. Yeah. But I love that shit. I feed off of it, and it's like, I might look tired and I might do these things, but dude, like, I live for this shit. Like,
Tell me the day that, you know, after you put in a nice 20-hour ripper, the next day when you come in, I bet you think to yourself, yeah, this is what it's all about. This is the difference between like success and failure. It's like you have a big day like that, and you come right back the next day. And those are the feelings that I always get. Maybe I'm just out of my mind.
nah.
But it's like, the next day when I'm exhausted, I can't feel my freaking face. And it's just been like a hell of a week. And, the last couple months here in San Diego has been fucking hot.
Dude.
Like
brutally
hot.
Brutal.
I'm down in Hell's Kitchen.
Dude, yeah, you're right there. There's no shade. Like,
It's like, you said the hottest, we should tell the audience my warehouse we call the roasterito.
yeah.
And the roasterito was roasting. It was 112 degrees was the hottest Saturday it got. 112 inside.
Inside.
But after those big days, when I come back in the next day, I'm always thinking like, all right, like this is what it's all about. Like this is what I signed up for. Like, it's most people, you would call it quits, but you still come back the next day because you're passionate.
Dude,
you love it.
Yeah.
And you got pride. You like, that's your name on every one of those bags I'm seeing on that shelf right there. Ultimately. And like, that's those are your little babies. And it's like, people come in, they see that, and it's like, a piece of you. To your point, like the passion, the art. It's like that's, when you're roasting, and it's like, you're telling people about it, and they're getting excited. And I'm trying to convert people one by one from putting milk and sugar to just drinking black coffee. That's kind of my goal in life.
Okay.
It's like, let's get everyone to drink black coffee because they,
Nice.
Kind of appreciate it. And they see that, okay, this is just as nuanced as wine. There's just as many flavor profiles. There's so many more, there's more varietals than wine. This is like
It's way more complex.
Way more complex. And to get people just they come back and they have a bag and they're like, oh yeah, the tasting notes, I tasted those. I'm like,
That's dope.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Now,
Fuck yeah.
That's great.
I love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's funny though how you say that. Like, I don't even think about it that way. I do think about, like, when I think about my coffee and like the coffee bags and everything in here,
I see you, baby.
I just like,
it's like, this is you.
dude, the thing is
I've
like,
only met you twice.
when I think about it though, it's just like this, it's just like, I don't even see the brand. It's just like, this is just what I wanted to do, so I don't have to fucking work for anybody else. But then, like, I think it's not even that it's me. It's a collection of the people that mattered the most to me. And the people that affected me in my coffee life were my grandmother, my mother, and my father.
Yeah.
So, like, it's really, it is me. But it's like, it's not even me. It's almost like the only thing that to me that symbolizes me is my touch on it, which is my people, on the walls, my skate team, my fight team, my dogs. Like, I got my dog Raider Nation over there. And then the dog that I used to watch over here, Cannibal. And then I got like all my favorite hip hop artists. And it's like, that's my touch. But the coffee, that's my grandma. That's me sitting with my grandma at her table and being like eating pan dulce, and then like my mother teaching me how to make her coffee.
Yeah.
When I was 5 years old, and like take it to her on her vanity, and then like it's me and my pops going to grab coffee. Like, me and my dad do not get along. We're like super opposites. We don't agree on anything in life. But the one thing we could always find common ground on is like, even if we weren't like fucking with each other, he'd be like, yo, like, it's not a beer. Do you want to go grab a cup of coffee? And it could be 8 o'clock at night. And it would be just like, yeah, let's go grab a cup. And then we'll just sit there and kind of catch up and talk story. And that to me is what this whole coffee shit is. Like, it's a way.
It's community.
It's
connection.
It's expression.
It's the only thing that translates across the entire planet.
Yeah.
What else? There's a coffee shop in every country.
Skateboarding. But that's also why I fuck with it too. Yeah. Dude, skateboarding's international language. Coffee's international language.
It's a conduit just for connection. I mean, it's how people can. I tell this to people all the time. One of the people say, "Oh, why did you start a coffee shop? Why did you start a roastery?" One of the reasons is that I've never ever had a bad conversation over a cup of coffee in my life.
Facts.
Yeah,
dude. You know that the French Revolution started in the coffee houses in France?
No, I didn't know this.
That's what where did I hear this from? But they said that the first talks of revolution began in the coffee houses because people were talking about how frustrated they were with the parliament. Or like, I guess it wouldn't be parliament, but the monarchy. Monarchy would be a better choice of words.
Yeah.
But that was that. And then, I mean, also, like some of the oldest photos, like if you ever look at, I think it was in James Hoffman's World Atlas of Coffee book.
Yeah.
They have photos of like in the 1700s or 1800s, like of people sitting in like coffee houses, like smoking hookah and fucking drinking coffee. And it's like, dude, to be a part of that is so fucking dope. And you this is like, my friend Turk, he called me a steward once. He's like, you're a steward of the craft, bro. And to me, it was like, I don't even think I'm a steward. I was like, what did that mean? Like, explain that to me. And he said, you're expressing yourself through your coffee. And that's your art form. That's your steward. That's how you're a steward of this. And I was like, dude, I just don't even look at myself like that. When I look at myself and I'm like, dude, you're a coffee roaster. You're able to like bring that happiness in the morning. Alcohol's great. I love being at a bar. Yeah. But I like being at the bar for the morning. Like when people are stumbling through or telling me about how they don't want to go to jury duty because they're like, I got summoned twice, or, or all of the things that I've learned. I learned how to podcast because I was working at a coffee shop with my friend Shay, who's right there on the wall right behind you. Mm-hmm. And he introduced me to the first podcast I ever heard because I was over listening to music. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need something else. So it's like coffee brings innovation. Coffee brings creativity. Coffee is and creates art. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's so exciting. And I think to me that when I meet somebody else who has that same drive and that same passion, it's like, dude, fuck yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why I think you're a solid one. Like I don't need to know you, but I know that you can do that. It's kind of the same way I feel about skateboarders, but skateboarders sometimes, just because you can skate good doesn't mean you're a good human. Like, and I don't mean to talk shit, but it's just sometimes skateboarders are tough. Yeah.
But I mean, the last handful of years, that's one of my focuses on life. Now that you mention it, it's just being a good human.
Would you like the rest of this, sir?
I would love the rest of that. Perfect. What is this now?
This is The Fortune by Seek. This is I believe
IPA?
It's like a German.
Oh, it's a Pilsner.
It's a German, German Pilsner, I think.
Dan needs something lighter.
Lighter, yes. Dude, that was really good, though. The caffeine, it was
great.
Dude.
It was fantastic.
And that's not to jock myself. I just oh, wow. That one was actually pretty good.
This is nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just being a better human. It's it's funny. I'm having a little situation in my life. I don't keep drama in my life, but I also don't shy away from being like if you want to bring drama to my life, I'll entertain it, to a certain point.
I don't even have time anymore for that.
Dude, I don't either.
It's just
but
I'm too old.
But I told you, I was telling you earlier,
I can't.
Before the podcast, I was like, you know what? I got time today.
Yeah.
You know what? I got time today.
Yeah.
And today I had time. Specifically today I had time. And this it's the most childish, dumb shit that I've ever heard in my life. And I won't get into the details of it, but this person that wanted to that is just so clearly wrong, wanted to call me out for being fake or something, and yet I talked to his boss.
You fake?
Yeah.
You seem as authentic as they get.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And so I actually spoke to his boss for his skate company today, and he was like, "Why are you guys beefing?" And I was like, and I told him the situation, and I was like, this fool's all gassed up though. And like I said, I was like, I got time today, so I'll let that handle and let that simmer. But he wanted to call me out for being fake, and like I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like everybody else sees the problem except for him, and he's burning bridges all around him, and it's going up in flames. And like I said, I've not been entertaining it, but I told him what was up today, and
self-awareness is a big issue,
and like
in today's society.
Dude, I'm just like, bro, like, what's going on? Like, at the end of the day, I had to remove myself from the situation, and I had to think about, I was like, why is this person acting out? You're projecting. You're projecting because you're bummed, because you're not enough. At the end of the day, this dude's not enough for the situation that he's in. And I know that he's projecting that on himself, and he's projecting it outwards. And that's okay. But it's interesting because, like, I think about it, and it's like when I was younger, I probably would have just, like, popped off and tried to fight the dude. Yeah. But now it's like I did reassess it, and I'm like, hey, man, like, why are you projecting? And I didn't say that to him. I definitely had some other words to say to him. But in my head, I was like, this dude's just projecting right now because he's bummed that he's not enough.
Yeah.
There's certain factors in life that you understand that it's okay to not be enough, and it's also okay to have to accept that. And some people can't accept that. It's like, dude, when I broke my back and I dislocated my hip and I had a serious identity crisis, like I didn't know who I was if I was not a skateboarder. Mm-hmm. But then I had to face the harsh reality. It's like, dude, you're not enough because things have changed. You're in this ever evolving climate of skateboarders that it's like, you're going to get left behind. Yeah. You need to figure out something else to do that fulfills you. And you just have to like kind of walk away. And once I did that, I'm not saying it happened overnight, and it was definitely not an easy process, but I learned to accept it. And then at the end of the day, it's like I proved what I needed to prove to myself, to my friends, to my family. And at the end of the day, like the people that loved me still loved me. And the people that were there for me were still there for me. So it was like, bro, as I've gotten older, I've realized it's like, I do this thing now too, where like, and this is bad. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, if like you're getting in a fight with your girl, or like somebody's giving you attitude and there's like paragraphs, delete. I don't read it. I don't read that shit at all, bro. Like I have no time. Like, nope, not even going to deal with it. Just like done. And then right on to the next, because like yourself, it's like, dude, I have way too much shit going on. Yeah. Like, why am I going to do this?
I mean, getting back to the text message thing, you know, I'm married. We've had, text wars all of a sudden, and it's like, what are we doing? Talk to me tonight. Talk to me later. Call me. Don't get in the whole text thing. But to your point about not being enough, that was one of the, we're going deep. One of the reasons why I ultimately left the corporate world. I felt myself, chasing, the white picket fence and all the other things that come along with it. Trying to, get to the highest title I could possibly get to. And then
climbing the corporate ladder.
Yeah. And then, looking at, people looking at me and still thinking that, you haven't done enough, or you haven't, who are you, whatever. It got point to that, I have to start doing things for me. It's like, I needed to step back, reassess, like, all right, you get one life. What are you going to do? How are you going to spend the next X amount of years? Who are you going to be with? Who are you going to try to make happy? What are you going to do at that time? And, I ultimately chose coffee and, outside, because I wanted to meet people. I wanted to greet people. I wanted to create something. I didn't want to, try to chase the corporate ladder and all the things that go along with that, and just the kind of the unfulfillingness of that. I'm more fulfilled every single day giving somebody a latte than I am, getting some kind of accolade in the office.
Same, dude. I could not agree more.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it was empty at the end of the day, because then once you get that next, okay, you're promoted, then it becomes, all right, what have you done for me lately? What are you going to do next? All these other things that have to go along. And then it's like, the corporate culture and the games, the politics and all that. There's no politics at the Roasterito.
We're the same, dude.
It's just an open place.
Yeah.
Come in here and hang out. Have a cup of coffee. Leave your issues at the door. Smile. Leave a better person.
Yep.
And that's, that at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's so simple, but it's like when I you feel like all the shit going on in the world, and it's like you can go to like a little oasis for a day to work, and it's like nothing else matters but just what's going on in that little bubble. Mm-hmm. Maybe kind of sad. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good thing to say.
No, dude, I think it's great.
But it's like, you go there and it's your little happy place. I never felt that. I never felt that comfort, even earning a salary guaranteed. Every 2 weeks you're getting paid. I don't know what the hell's going to happen next week. Shit could hit the fan. Gas prices go to, $24 a gallon. No one could, come here, go there, whatever. And you're stuck. You're like, all right, now there's no money coming in. But at the end of the day, like, that's more fulfilling than the feelings I was getting in an office. Guaranteed all these things, all these things that are supposed to make you feel good.
I don't know one person, even people who work in corporate. Like, I have a friend named Beta. He's one of the most successful people I've ever met in my life, financially. And he works for Google. He kills it for them. But that's not enough for him. He literally does his stuff, and then he's done. And then when on his free time, he goes and buys properties throughout the United States and fixes them up and rents them. So he's creating a passive income, and he will go back to Google and does all this. And then he's just crushing. Like, he'll literally come and stay with me and my roommate. He'll do work calls for Google in the house, and then he's doing things. And then he'll have people coming over notarizing all of his like houses and properties that he's doing. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And then by the end of the day, when we're done, he'll stop working, and then he just wants to eat, and then drink, and party, smoke weed. And it's like, what the fuck? And he's just like, it's not enough. I need more. And he just keeps going. And it's not even corporate, because he created his own thing. Yeah. And it's like, that shit, when I see that, I'm like, bro, like, that motivates me. Like, how are we going to keep going? Like, yeah, this is dope right now, but I'm already thinking, like, all right, how are we going to elevate? I'm trying to think, what's the next pivot? What's going to be the next thing? To your point, like, this is dope. I love this space, and it's my space, and it's me on the walls. It's me and living in like a 3-dimensional thing. But I'm already thinking, like, next space, next part. How are we going to evolve? What's going to be the next evolution? And I have some ideas and things that I want to do, like 2 specifically. But it's very, I don't know, man, like these long days and these things, like, I feel like it makes me more creative. Yeah. That pressure, like we were talking about, like the pressure creating diamonds, like, dude, you have so many things that you're doing, like the kombucha and the beer and the coffee and barrel aged like beans and stuff. I mean, I think it's fucking dope that you do all that, because you're not one dimensional. You have so many different avenues that you can grow and blossom, and then you can even fine tune it. You already got the coffee thing down. So you have 2 other avenues that you can go down and like really highlight those and then like expand and even grow or just refine.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Dude, I fucking think like, that's dope.
Yeah. I mean, thank you. I mean, it's hard work. It takes passion.
Yeah.
And willing to do it every single day just to get back on it. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be doing, to your point, I'll say this. I've said this to other people, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like, yeah, well, this space is me and all these other things. And I always say to people, they'll come up to me, oh, what does it feel like to be a small business owner? To me, I'm not a small business owner. You're not a small business owner. Because small business owner, from what my mind thinks of it, is small-minded, narrow scope, small ideas, small, right? It's like small in scale, small but entrepreneur, someone that's creating something that has passion for it, they're thinking ahead. They're thinking not what I'm doing today. It's what I'm doing 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years from now. There's that progression in their head. There's that, like you said, like this is not, I mean, I have like, I want to be doing this, that, and that. You know, I have other things I want to be doing. That's an entrepreneur. That's someone that's got it in their blood. You know, a small business owner, nothing wrong with them, but they're on the, you know, doing a little store in the corner, and that's what they want to do. You know, a lifestyle company or whatever, and that's fine. We need those. But I've never thought about it as like I'm doing a small business. Like, yeah, what I'm doing is in a small little, you know, 1,400 square foot facility. You know, we're doing 1 barrel at a time, you know, X, Y, and Z, you know, 10 pound batches, 7, whatever it might be. But nothing is small in scale. Nothing is, I mean, everything's big. You know, I'm always thinking like, where can I push this? You know, how can I elevate what I'm doing? How can we take this to the next level? You know, where do I want to be, you know, a few years from now? Like, how do I keep on evolving what I'm doing? And that's an entrepreneur, I feel like. And then the real definition of that, as far as I'm concerned, is when people think that you're nuts or people see that, you know, they can't see it.
Oh, bro, what the best one I like is when people tell me, like, you need to stop working so hard. You're going to burn out. I'm like, bro, speak for yourself. Like,
yeah.
I don't believe in that because of the passion. It's like, I only want to be doing this. Like, yeah. Dude, somebody asked me the other week, they're like, dude, what are you working, like 80-hour work weeks? I was like, bro, that's probably if I had a slow week, to be honest. I was like, I did like a rough guesstimate, and I was like, I work this many hours. I was like, fuck, I don't know. Like, I was like, I'm working anywhere between like 120 hours and more, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm editing, because I'm editing a wedding video right now because I went and shot a wedding.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to do. My grandmother always used to say, mijo, there's always something to do. Grandma, there's nothing to do. Mijo, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when I think about anything like that, I just think of my grandmother. Like, when she passed, that's who I have tatted on my neck. When she passed away, I was like, I knew she would be so bummed that I got my neck tatted. She's like, mijo, why'd you tat your neck? And I was like, you know, kind of thing. But I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I was like, you know, she's gone. She was probably, aside from my own mother, she was probably the most influential person in my life. Yeah. So same
with me,
dude. Grandmothers are the fucking best, bro.
I'm going back to see her in a couple months. She's 96. She was my second mother.
Dude.
Period. End of story.
Yep.
Hard stop.
Dude.
And if she was here, my grandmother, she'd be like, no, I raised him.
That's dope.
That's exactly what she would say.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yep.
My grandmother was 94. She just passed. Dude, she passed on the year anniversary of Caffeine and Green. So October 2020, October 1st, 2020 was the year I launched the company. I mean, like officially, because it was made as a LLC like in July of 2020.
Yep.
But then, on October 1st, 2021, she passed away. And I was like, dude, that's fucking crazy. But I was like, you know, like I think about that, and like it just like when you think, to your point, like people saying that you're crazy or whatever, it's like, dude, you're only crazy if you think you're crazy. And it's like at the end of the day, even if you think you're crazy, you're probably, I think you're still probably not doing enough. Like you need to do more. Like if you can get through a skateboard trick, if you can go an extra round on a battle, or if you're in a fight and you're in the fight of your life and you got to fucking pull out that third round to beat this fight, knock this dude out, or land more leg kicks or something. Like you can do something that's relatively not detrimental to your body. And you're going to put those hours in, and you might lose sleep. But at the end of the day, you're like, I did that shit. Like, that's so fucking dope, son. Like, or, you know, they enjoy the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Like my mentor, Trvlr, he always used to be like, he told me something that stuck with me forever, and I still apply it, is that he's like, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that cup of coffee is a good cup of coffee, whether it's hot or whether it's cold. If you can pick up a cold cup of coffee, like you forgot about it and it's like ice cold, and it's just because it's been sitting out for so long, you sip it and it still doesn't taste bad, you win. Yeah. And I was like, bro, like, yes, you know, like, yes, that's exactly what I was about. And so I don't know, man. Like, They always say like nobody will ever work for you as hard as you'll work for yourself. And I think that's true. And then the new one that I heard recently was that, like, what is success? Is success material things, or is success when you're waking up every day and you're doing exactly what you want to do and you're supporting yourself and doing what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Nipsey Hussle said that.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, my definition of success is a combination of what you just said, and then also like internally, just I want to find like kind of like I want to find like that limit, just mentally and physically.
Like your limit?
Yeah, my limit. So before the pandemic, I did, a dozen Ironman races. Oh. And I'm just all about, and that kind of helped me kind of like figure out myself a little bit. And it helped me kind of understand that, you're never at the end. There's always more to give. And the Ironman race is great because you do 99% of the work before the race. The race is just the icing on the cake.
It's the culmination of all your hard work.
Yeah, that's when you can like, kind of like breathe a sigh of relief. But nobody sees, the 15 or 20 hours a week you're putting in, sitting on a trainer in your living room, biking, running, swimming miles a week and stuff like that. And try to take that mentality into like your work ethic daily, and to like figure out that, okay, to your point earlier, like, oh yeah, you put in like a 15 or a 20-hour day, but yet you still had more. You can still give more. And to have that kind of passion, that kind of energy every single day, that's what I've always wanted. And I never had that in an office.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like, yeah, it's, you're never at your end. You can always push a little bit harder. You can always try a little harder, but effort's the only thing you can't like teach. And ultimately it's the only thing that you have control over. Like, you don't have control over, the gas prices or anything outside, or your boss breathing down your neck, or, the politics of something. You have no control of that.
Yeah. But
me coming here every single day and just, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm going all in. That's been like the joke for a while. It's just all in, because like you're not really committed, Caffeine and Green. If you weren't all in, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Bro,
you're all in. You're all in. And it's like that feeling of being all in that actually gives it meaning.
Oh yeah.
And then there's something to that that's like a visceral thing to you. Like, all right, this is like, there's something tangible here that I can feel, and that other people feel, because you're all in. And they know that this isn't like a McDonald's, it's not some, this isn't a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Let's just do coffee terms. This isn't a Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people there, they're not all in. They don't care, but there's a level of passion, a level of feeling that you can't recreate anywhere else but here.
Dude, you can't. Yeah. Nipsey Hussle, one of his things he always said is all money in, no money out.
Yeah.
And it's like, in theory, like that'd be ideal.
Yeah.
But like, as far, just to your point, is that the all in, dude, once you're all in, like,
it becomes easier.
But
mentally, you have to get to that point. You have to be
it's scary.
You have to free yourself. So it was probably about 6 months into the pandemic. I had lost all my accounts on wholesale coffee. Realized that shit ain't coming back. Like, this is not good. Like, all right, what do I do? I spent 1.5 years getting to this spot. I can't spend another 1.5 years if the pandemic ended right now to start rebuilding that same business.
Yeah.
I had to shift. And then I pulled together, all the money I had. And I was like, all right, Dan, like, man or mouse? Are you all in? Man or mouse? Yeah. Are you in? Are you all in, man or mouse? Yeah. We used to say that in college a lot.
Okay.
A lot of times, like drinking games, like man or mouse, drink that beer, man or mouse.
What does the mouse part represent? Like,
it's like, are you a small man? Or are you a big man?
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like man or mouse. It's like, are you like, put up or shut up?
yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Do you want to see this through? Or are you going to just crack? And that's like the Ironman races. It's like, okay, you swim 2.5 miles, you bike 112, you run a marathon. Mile 10 of the marathon, everyone starts to crack. It's like, are you going to crack? Are you going to keep on running? Because it's easiest to walk. You can just walk. It all feel better if you just walk. Sit down, have a drink, just walk. Everyone's telling you, just walk. It's like, but no. Push yourself, past that breaking point, and then all of a sudden you start experiencing life, right? You'll start really feeling it, and you're like, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. It ain't supposed to be freaking, it's never supposed to be, strawberries and cream all the time. Some of the best things hurt, and it just feels good. Yeah,
dude. Speaking like you sound like a true skateboarder right there, bro.
Yeah,
dude. Just taking those slams.
Yeah.
Concrete remains undefeated.
Exactly. Yeah. It always wins.
Always wins.
Always wins, and that's just like. But sometimes like that's the best learning lesson. Because then you realize like, all right, I have to do it different. And it's it's been a crazy wild ride to get to this point. But I'm sitting here right now, talking with you, who I haven't met in a couple weeks ago, and dude, this is a dream. Same. I could be my prior life 4 years ago, 7:30 at night. I'd still be sitting in an office.
Sheesh.
And I would have got there about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oof.
I'm still usually doing the same things now, but it's under these terms.
Yeah, it's because you want to do it.
This is the good terms.
Yeah.
Sitting here having your beer.
Dude, yeah. I mean, same thing.
And chilling out.
Having a podcast, doing like the show, which it all grew out of.
Yeah.
Like Caffeine and Green grew out of doing this, but at my house in Leucadia when I started it.
Yeah.
And it was on my terms. I was working in a corporate job. Same. Yeah. That's where I came up with the name.
Yeah.
But dude, it's just, it's so funny. Like, something that reminded me when you're like that mile 10, the crack. I have two related stories. And when I had my fight, I don't remember. I think it was last year in September. I think in the second round, me and my opponent collided knees, and dude, it fucked my knee up. Like, it was this one right here. And I don't know. I never went and got it checked out, but it was fucked for like a long time after the fight.
Yeah.
But we hit, and the second we hit, I dropped. And like the guy was like, "Are you good? Can you continue?" And he's like, "Do a squat." And I went to squat, and I could feel internally in my knee there was something wrong. Yeah. But I was like, "Yep, we're good." And he's like, "You want to keep going?" I was like, "We're gonna go." And we just kept the fight, and I lost that round. And then the third round, I won the fight, and then I won the fight overall. It was, you spent all this time getting to this point.
Yeah.
Fucking dude, chop the leg off. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. We're finishing this fight. If I need to fight one leg, we're going to fight one leg. I am not going to stop. We're right here. We're in the midst of this. We're not going to stop.
You're in the arena. You ever hear that quote?
No.
Teddy Roosevelt? I mean, I'm going to butcher it. But basically it goes that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you try or you fail. It's the fact that you were there. You gave a full effort. And at the end of the day, all those who never tried will never know what that feels like.
Dude, 100.
Because you experienced what it was to be in the arena. Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like that's what we're doing. Like, that's why you're an entrepreneur. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So it's like, we're in the arena every single day. You literally in the arena fighting, or, figuratively in the arena, with this company. It's like you're there, you're giving it everything you got, and people walk by the windows outside, and they'll be like, "Oh man, he's not doing. He could be doing this, he could be doing that." Like Monday morning quarterbacks, but they won't know they'll never know what the feeling is to sit in that chair over there, to pull a shot over there, to roast coffee, to do all these things, to give somebody something that you've created, to put a smile on their face. They'll never know. That's in the arena.
Dude, yeah. I mean, dude, to your point too, like the marathons. I've run marathons with my pops, quite a bit, and I remember the last one I ran. It was the CIM, the California International Marathon or something like that, or I don't know, something. We ran in Sacramento, and I remember on mile 24, my Achilles just tightened up super fucking bad to the point where like I could only go a little bit, and then I don't walk, and I legit had to just kind of like slow jog it because I was like, even if you have to walk, you have to finish, bro. You are right fucking there, dude. You do not quit. And it was like a pulled muscle, and I remember I was like, but you have to run across that that thing. Just keep going, because at the end of the day, bro, I literally think about that in anything else I'm doing. It's like that's the biggest comparison or analogy to life is like when you don't think you can do it anymore, pulled muscle, hurt leg, whatever, fucking Iron Man. It's literally that last push. They always talk about it. Everybody who's so successful is like, when you want to give up, you just got to keep going, because right behind that hill or right over that hill, it could be what you've been trying for. And then there's that's
totally
what separates you from everybody else. Because there's people who will be like, no. And it's like, if there was a way to view the future, it's like, if you just would have pushed that extra, just fucking get there. You know what I'm saying?
And you would actually feel it. You would actually experience it. So funny story. My wife will probably kill me for saying this, but we went to Glacier National Park a couple months ago. She took me there for my birthday. I've been there a couple times when I was younger, and I was like, look, she's never been there. You know where Glacier National Park is? Up in Montana, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful, beautiful park. Like, I mean, it's on the same scale and scope as Yosemite, but it's hard to get to. That's why no one goes there.
Okay.
It's freaking beautiful. But anyways, the first day we do, I think, a 17-mile hike. A little bit too much.
That sounds like a lot.
I mean, I loved it, but, you know, she had a new pair of shoes on. It rained, monsooned the last like 6 miles, 5 miles, something like that. It was cold. It was like the mountains are so big, the weather had just sat on the mountain that we were in, and it just didn't leave. When you go outside the park, it was 70 degrees and sunny, but inside the park it was 40. It was crazy. But anyways, we go back to the Airbnb. She got blisters everywhere. The next day we're like, all right, you know, I want to do another hike. Like, we have to do this hike. It's gonna be 6 miles up, like 3,000 feet down, 12 miles total. She's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, if we don't do this, that's fine. This is your choice. I know you have blisters. I'm not going to force you. But in 2 days, those blisters are going to heal, and you're going to wish you had done this. I'm like, you just want to suffer just a little bit more today, and then you'll see. Because we hiked up to a glacier lake, and this humongous glaciers in this. I mean, it's like something out of Alaska. It's just stunning. Glacier National Park, you know, they used to have 100 glaciers. Now there's like 10 because of climate change. There's like hardly any glaciers there. It's really sad. Because when I was there 15 years ago, there's glaciers, and now they're all gone. But there's the one glacier lake that's left. It's just beautiful. I was like, we have to hike up there because, like, you know, it's gonna be miserable, but you know, you're gonna heal up tomorrow. You're gonna be fine.
The juice is gonna be worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go up there and let's suffer. And you know, you're gonna be fine in a couple of days, but you're gonna want to see what's up on top of that hill. Because trust me, I haven't been there, but I know it's gonna be beautiful.
It's gonna be dope.
And we go up there. I mean, it's unbelievable. She was suffering, but she took it like a champ. I mean, amazing. I mean, her feet were like basically bleeding almost.
Yikes.
But on the way down, we saw, you know, a grizzly bear right off the trail. We saw a giant moose right off the trail. So we got rewarded. I was telling her, these are your rewards for doing this. Because we would never have seen these things if you wanted to sit back at the house today because you were too, you know, fatigued, your feet were too hurt, and all these things, which I would have been fine with. I mean, whatever you wanted to do, I was on board with. But because you said you'd want to suffer and you wanted to do this 6-hour hike today, we saw that lake, we saw that glacier, which was, I mean, the water was green. We're up at like 6,000 feet. I mean, this glacier is the size of, you know, Manhattan. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then we saw these two animals that were just right off the trail. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then she's like, "Were you scared when we saw the grizzly?" I'm like, "No, I know I can outrun you. I'm fine." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
It's
I'm
a
like,
joke.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so good.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
outrun you. It's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm like, yeah, I felt pretty confident. Yeah, when I saw that grizzly, I was good. Yeah, no.
Dude. It's not the grizzlies you got to worry about. You got to worry about the black bears.
Yeah,
The black bears are the ones who attack people.
yeah.
They say grizzlies are just like they're not really.
It was sitting there literally 30 feet from here to the road. I mean, it was 30, 40 feet away, just eating huckleberries, little berries. And I was like, that bear, that sees people all the time.
Did
If
it
you
see you?
If you go up, oh yeah, it was looking at it right at us. I'm like, if you go up there and you poke it, then you're gonna have an issue. But I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
He's like, dude, I'm eating my berries. Like, just do you, G. Just keep walking.
Just do you. And
Yeah.
it's like fine. It was sitting right there, and I mean that was amazing.
That's
So it was worth
dude,
it. I
yeah.
said that was why we did it. I mean, that's like, talk about like, just, karma or, just, the universe aligning. It's like, because you were willing to suffer a little bit, we got rewarded.
dude, always.
That's what happened. We saw those two amazing animals out there. I mean, the moose was, 2 times the size of a horse right off the trail. It's like, holy crap.
Dude,
Fucking
mooses are so gnarly looking, dude.
Yeah.
And they're so powerful.
So powerful, beautiful. I mean, the heads are like, it's you can't even imagine what it looks like.
Dude, no, I follow like hunters and stuff like that who talk about these meats and stuff, like just people who are like, they live off the land, these wildlife people.
Yeah.
And like I've seen moose and like bears and all these things that they show, and I'm just like, dude, I don't even know, like, to like, what do they call it? Like, not backpacking, but they call it like trekking.
Yeah.
Like 40 miles inland to like get this animal that's going to supply their family for like a year worth of food and like all these things. And I'm just like, I don't think I have that in me to do that, but I'll watch you do it. And it's like, that is fucking gnarly. And it's like, people have their opinions about like hunting animals and stuff, but like for me, it's more of like, how are you as an individual? That you're a different human. Like you're like, that's more like that primal shit. And it's, I say that in a way, like I went to I've only gone to one UFC. Like I've gone to a bunch of MMA fights. I've organized MMA fights. I put up the cages, do those things. But going to like a full on UFC, there's something about it. And that primal shit is like so real when you're in it and you're watching. It's like, I would imagine what it would have been like going to the Coliseum. Have you been to the Coliseum?
I was just
in Rome?
gonna say it's like the Romans.
Have you gone there?
No, I have not.
Bro, if you can go,
You could probably feel it.
dude. I went to Rome and I took the tour, went inside, went on the outsides, and like got to see it, And there was other things that dude. They say that the Romans used to have walkways like where they would fill them up with water, and so it wasn't just like lions and people battling each other.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
They would flood it, and they would have battles with ships.
Yeah.
It was fucking crazy. And then you're like looking at it and like going, like doing the Rome thing, and then also going to UFC, and then watching the fighters walk in and get into that cage, and you're just there. And it's not even the alcohol, but it's just like you're sitting there, you're just like, yeah, you just like, you want to see your dude fight, and then you see somebody get knocked out, and it's like, it's something has taken over because there's something like in us that is so primal, and that's what I relate the wild to. It's like, there's this part of you that's like, it's like with cats and dogs, like when a cat just knows how to pounce on its prey. It's like there's shit that's hardwired in us, bro, that it's like, it's just so surprising, like, fuck.
Totally.
It's so exciting to be a human.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Dude, I mean, yeah, sometimes. I mean, like, I tend to err more on like the positive side of just like, because I don't hide it from anybody, but like I've experiments with psychedelics, and dude, I remember the first time I ever did mushrooms, I remember just sitting there and I was like, how did we come up with dialect? Like, what at what point was there a person who started to like, I was like, type of like shit, and then form words, and then all of a sudden we knew how to talk, and then gave it meaning. Our mouths made sounds, and they were like, oh yeah, this is. We can all collectively agree that this means this, and it's like, that's why I asked you earlier in the conversation, like, how do you get at, like, how do you think outside the box? Because, dude, if I need like a hard reset, and I feel myself hitting a wall, I'll usually take mushrooms, and I'll just go and like go to a show, or if I'm like with my friends, sometimes we'll just take some mushrooms and like go walk around and like just giggle and laugh and drink beers and smoke weed. And like sometimes if I'm like in a park, like, or if I'm at a festival, I'll just sit there and like smoke a cigarette and then like be tripping, and I'm just like, and all of a sudden an idea will come, and it's just like boom, you know. I mean, it doesn't. My creativity isn't based on that, but like it'll help me expand my
I don't
mind.
think I answered that before when you said that. I remember you asking that. And for me, it's just like Sunday I went for a 90-minute run.
Nice.
It was very simple or whatever, but going out there, ran on a trail, total mind clearing. Just out there in nature, you know, you can connect. No iPod, no music, just listening to whatever I hear.
Just your breathing.
Yeah. And going out there, just grunting up a couple hills, sweating for a little bit, and that's it. I mean, if I had more time, which I really just don't have right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd be going for like a 5-hour bike ride or something like that.
Dope.
Doing 100 miles and just grinding it out. And then you feel like, I've told this to people before, you know, people laugh, but it's like, you know, if you go on it's not a 30-minute run, but if you're out there for 2 hours, or if you're out there for like a 5-hour bike ride, if you have questions that you can't answer during that time, you ain't gonna answer them. I mean, yeah, it's just a fact. You know, I go out there and I'm like, I want to think about something, you know, and it's like, you know, if I can't clear my head in that time and like, you know, be laser focused, then you're not going to answer the question. You know, you'll answer it every single time if you go out there and you clear your head, just like you doing whatever it is that you're going to do to clear your head.
Yeah, I have a bunch of avenues.
yeah. And that, you'll answer it.
Oh, what's that? We're back. One question, since we're almost done with this. I usually try to keep it to about an hour and a half. I wanted to ask why Trvlr, and I know the answer, but like I wanted you to tell people who like are going to be your new guests that are going to come in after this.
Yeah.
Because you had mentioned it when I had met you at your shop. Because to me, I think the name is everything. Because that's you. So why Trvlr?
So you know, rewinding a little bit back to what we talked about earlier. You know, before I was, you know, corporate accounting and finance, left that, you know, career, and I was like, all right, what am I doing? And I came upon, all right, you know, I want to use my hands, like I mentioned earlier. I want to like create something. I want to make people happy and smile. I want to create a product. I want to have a community aspect to my life. I want to, you know, really create like a little community something. I didn't know that it was going to be coffee at this time, but I just knew that these are the things that interested me, that I was passionate about, that I was hoping to kind of bring into my a life, you know, for my career. And somehow 10 years ago, I ended up in San Diego, and I was in North Jersey, New York, working there.
Oh, that's where you were?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So I worked in New York for about 10, 12 years before I came here. And I ended up in San Diego, and I came out here basically because it was February and it was miserable in New Jersey, you know, 40 degrees, rainy. I come here, it's 72 and sunny. It's beautiful. I go back. It's, you know, I'm like, why am I in this area? Let me move here. So I move here, and then I get exposed to all these things. I started, you know, doing the triathlons, and started, you know, being outdoorsy and all these things. And, you know, everyone here skates. In the Northeast, not a lot of people skate, but it's a culture here. And so I wanted to come up with, when I was putting my, you know, pen on paper, and I was like, all right, what am I going to do? I want to create things that I'm, you know, passionate about, and, you know, I care about, and I wanted to, you know, ultimately I was like, oh, I want to roast coffee because I had a little popcorn popper, and I was like, I'll roast coffee. I'll create this business out of it. I'll do like an active lifestyle store, and I'll do like things that San Diegans are really, really excited about. And this is why we have why we live here. You can skate, you can surf, you can bike all year round. In San Diego, and this is like the beauty of this little pocket of the country. There, you can't experience this anywhere else in the country. You can't do that in the Northeast, that's for sure. 10 months a year.
Yeah.
You'd be freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And but the whole name Trvlr obviously went with the active lifestyle stuff that I was hoping to create a business on when I initially started. But ultimately, when I started roasting coffee wholesale, Trvlr was more. It morphed into kind of like this journey I was on. Like, I shouldn't be here right now. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be in an office somewhere behind an Excel spreadsheet. I should never have started this. I shouldn't be sitting here, like I said earlier, with you right now. Like, this is crazy. I should be doing something completely. I should be still in an office 7:45 at night. I should still be in some office somewhere, buried. Just feeling like, oh God, what am I doing? But this is the journey. This is the experience, and this is the life that I want to live. I want to live this life, and I want to meet people, and that's all the Trvlr experience is what I've always called it. And this is like, it sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, I'm hoping that if you actually live it, then it's not cliche. Then it's real. It's authentic, and that's all that I've ever tried to be.
Dude, that's where we'll end it right there. Fucking love that, dude. Right there. That's what I like. That was the fucking answer. Like, bro, yes. Like, that's the best thing.
Yeah, I
dude.
mean, that's all that. I mean,
dude, I got so hyped just now.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I've only met you a couple times.
Yeah, G.
And dude, I mean, you're an authentic guy.
Appreciate that.
I can see it on your sleeve. I can see it in this space.
Thank you.
And that's all I think as humans, at the end of the day, that's all we really should want at the end of the day is just to be authentic and to be real. And if everyone out there was real and authentic, this place would be a lot better space.
Dude, like the only thing I know how to do in my life is to be myself. I can't be anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get along with everybody, and I'm also not going to not get along with everybody. But, at the end of the day, I might be off-putting to some people, and some people might think I'm the bee's knees. But at the end of the day, I feel I can go to sleep at night knowing who I am, the people who love me, and, like, if you don't fuck with me, don't fuck with me. Like,
and the people that love you, those are the ones you got to spend time with.
Dude, I have a small circle.
Those are the ones you care about.
Dude, 100%. Like, that's all I ever want.
That's it.
That's all I ever want. It's like Bad Bunny says, no te gusta, no tienes que mirar. He says, if you don't like it, you don't have to look. That's how I feel about everything. And so, like, when I heard that, I mean, that quote to me was like, oh, that's such a perfect representation, I would feel, of life. Just keep to yourself, bro. Like, do you. Get on whatever hustle you got to do, and the people who are going to fuck with you are going to fuck with you regardless. So just keep it like that. Like, that's 100. And, like, live your truth, bro. Like, your truth is not going to be everybody else's truth. But if you live what you're doing and you have passion and you love what you're doing, like, you're already winning.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. So not to end on a, there's not to end on a morbid note.
Yeah.
But, I've known people that have died young, like we all have. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how are you, every time that happens, you're like, you reset and you're like, all right, how am I spending my time? It can end tomorrow. What am I doing? Am I going to try to add value to this planet? Add value to the community, add value to, someone coming in and, just making their day off a silly drink. At the end of the day, it's a silly drink, but it made their day. Put a smile on their face, especially for morning. That's one of the reasons I love coffee. It's a morning. I think you mentioned that earlier. It's a morning thing.
It's a morning thing. 100.
It's like you start up. It's your boost for the entire day. It's that experience is gonna, like, it's like people say, oh yeah, I have breakfast. It's going to, give you the calories, give you the energy to kind of get you through the day. If you skip breakfast, you're kind of in a deficit for the whole day, but it's like, you have that morning coffee and it like resets your whole day going forward into a positive outlook. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about like 7-Eleven coffee here, by the way.
Whatever. It's just as long as you're happy.
Yeah.
Like, yo.
Exactly.
That's why I do it.
Do you?
Do it.
Do
every
you?
day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. Like whatever it is that makes you happy. That's kind of like we didn't talk about the brewing side of it, but one season. All right. One season, 72 and sunny. That's the reason. Because we have this great weather. People are active. People can do anything you want here. But at the end of the day, it's not about biking or surfing. It's like, what is your one season? Mm-hmm. It's like, what are you doing? It could be gardening, but it's all about like, how are you enjoying this space? This lifestyle that we call San Diego. It's a lifestyle. You don't get this lifestyle in other places of the country. Mm-hmm. We have this whole unique type of thing here, from the beer to the beach, to the trails, to the weather. We have so many like great things that are just unique to San Diego that people would just dream about. But it's like, all right, what are you claiming as your one season? What is waking you up every single morning? It could be gardening, could be crochet. Doesn't matter. It's like, what's making you happy? That's why you're here. Dude,
every day, baby. Let's go.
That's it.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dan, I am so fucking hyped we had this conversation. I think it's been eye-opening, and I also think it's invigorating. It's inspiring. It's been to be able to connect with another person who feels the same and kind of has like a similar drive but different paths.
Yeah.
It's motivational.
That's the Trvlr way.
Dude, let's go.
You're leading your story right now.
Let's go.
It's your own path. It's like whatever you make it,
dude.
And that's it. That's life. That's the beauty of the journey. If you woke up every day and someone told you exactly what you had to do or where you're supposed to be, be no excitement here. We'd be all work. It would be like the what's that movie? Not The Office. That other movie. Where they're busting up the copy machine.
No, that's Office.
No, not The Office.
Office Space.
Office Space. It would be like that. Like living that kind of lifestyle.
Yep.
Yeah. That's who I was.
Dude, I lived that life for a little bit, but I couldn't. I don't do well with authority. But dude, okay, so Dan, tell the people where they can find you, actually physical location, and then Instagram for both one season and for Trvlr, and just let them know. Yeah,
Instagram, it's Trvlr, TRVLR, no vowels, .coffee.roaster, one season, .brewing, .company. On Instagram, the coffee site for Trvlrs, TrvlrCoffeeRoaster.com. We're in Mission Gorge, San Diego. So this is east of the 15, just north of the 5, north of the 8, I'm sorry. Right by the Home Depot. A lot of people know Home Depot, JT's Bar and Grill. Mm-hmm. JT's Bar and Grill is a classic dive bar in San Diego.
Yep.
It's 5839 Mission Gorge, right behind the 7-Eleven there. A little hidden gem that is the roasterito.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's it. And then so you got the Instagrams, you got the location. Dude.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody, once you've been on the show, it's you're always welcome back on the show, and just, hopefully anybody from around the world, and then also for all the coffee people around the county will come and start checking you out, because people come in a lot of the time like, dude, I listen to your podcast, or like I heard an episode of your podcast. I want to come and check you out. So I hope everybody go and visit Dan at Trvlr.com, and shout out to Isaac and Elias.
Yes.
The homies. I love those guys. They're fucking wonderful. And you have a great team.
And we also have a great barista named Jasmine. She's awesome. But Isaac is fantastic. I got to give a shout out to him real quick.
Yes.
This guy, he roasted over 200 pounds today alone. The guy, talk about passion. I can see it in his eyes. Like, this is
sponge.
Yeah, this is what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. I've had a couple other employees in there, and you can see it after the first day. You're like, oh, they just. You have to be a little crazy to sit by a 500 degree oven. At the end of the day, that's what it is. For hours at a time. You know, you have to see the beauty in that. You got to see like, you know, the sound kind of like puts you to sleep almost. You kind of like, you know, you have to see it's an art.
And you're just repeating it.
And
but you're finding
little nuances in it.
Yeah, dude.
And you want to like perfect it, and you want to kind of like really hone in, and you want to like, you know, see what you're doing. And Isaac's been awesome. The dude is great. I love Isaac. He's really, really a great part of the team, and he's what's making it happen right now. It's not me. I always tell it's everybody else. I just show up, you know. And yeah, he's fantastic, and I'm just thrilled that Isaac's there.
The homies.
Yeah,
dude.
The homies is right. Yeah,
dude. All right. Well, Dan, thank you again, sir. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. Peace. Yes. Thank you so much, Dan. That was an amazing conversation. And man, what an inspiring guy, for real. Just that motivation, that passion. I mean, you can really hear it in his voice and the way he speaks. It's so dope. Dan, thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, brother. And guys, make sure that you're going to visit him at his spot over there on Mission Gorge. You heard the address. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but go visit my man and try out his stuff. And guys, lastly, but not least, I just want to say thank you to everyone around the world who continues to support Caffeine and Green, whether you're coming in the coffee shop, buying the coffee, getting the merch, just coming to say what up and have a conversation with me. I really, really appreciate it, guys. And without y'all, I wouldn't be anywhere. So, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you're cruising through 3072 El Cajon Boulevard every single day. Come through, except for Mondays. All right, guys, have some amazing guests lined up, and I can't wait to share more with you. All right, peace.